into this lesson.
All right. But before we do it, I want to all give all honor and glory to Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles pushing this truth for decades and decades. And we want to give a hearty shalom to the brothers and sisters out there being strong in this truth and sincere and diligency. All right. But with that, we're gonna get into the lesson, man. So that's for today. We talking about the death and destruction of Babylon the Great, is known as America. All right. And Babylon the Great will be destroyed by nuclear missiles and will never be inhabited again. All right. It's gonna be a brutal execution of judgment, courtesy of the Most High. All right, on this wicked place, man. But we're gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna jump to the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, in verse 16. Bear with me. All right, it says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord." What is the book of the Lord? This word right here, man, is gold. All right. "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. None of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." All right, when it said none of these shall fail, we're talking about the prophecies, man. All right, everything in this book will hold and stand true. All right. We're going to jump to Isaiah 33, verse 6. All right. And it says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." Indeed, man. So when you take the wisdom and knowledge of what we're about to teach you, man, along with the prophecies that's within this book, man, you're able to be stable within these times. You're able to keep yourself on track, right? You're able to detest what's going on in this world, man. All right. With that, I'm gonna jump to Isaiah 14. All right. Well, I could give me a second. In verse 24. All right. It says, "The Lord of hosts, which is Yahawah, all right, have sworn, saying, Surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have proposed, so shall it stand." Right. Because the word of the Most High is concrete, man. It's gonna happen if he said. Otherwise, that's just being blasphemous, bro. Because he's the one and true living God. So whatever he says, it shall and will come to pass, man. All right. But before we get started on the lesson, we'll jump back to Isaiah 34. All right. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth it." Right, talking about everybody. Adhere to this word, man. Adhere with the gold, right? It says, For the indignation of Yahawah is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Right. And the Lord, he sent all these nations up within the world today to the slaughter, man. That's why you got the rumors of wars, but we're going to get into that later, man. All right. Going on with verse 3. It says, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. Right. And the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together, so like it, as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as falling fig from the fig tree." Here it is. "For my word shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea," which is present day Edom. And who is Edom? This so-called white man. And this is his kingdom. Babylon is his kingdom, is where he's top, he's ruling. Right? "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." Right. He said the people of his curse because they initiated the curses on us. Right. He's a part of them. They were a part of bringing the curses to pass. Right. But with that, I'm gonna pass it on to Brother Paris, and he's gonna start the lesson.
So exactly, just like Brother Jamal was talking about, he's breaking down the destruction and the fall of Babylon, which is the kingdom and rulership of Idumea, which is present day Edom, which is present day so-called white man, which is NATO, Europe, and America. And what a lot of understand is that the Most High Yahawah, what he's going to do is he's going to, because people are hard-headed, and our people, and including the other nations too. So what he's going to have to do, he's going to have to show people through pleading. The Bible says he's pleading. That means he's not on his knees pleading, because he's not pleading with no man, because he created you. Plead with you. So we mean plead is bloodshed, just like Brother read. So people got to understand that Babylon has judgment. And when it says judgment, that means there's blood that has to be shed to recompense for this. That's how you have to work. So I'm gonna start with Isaiah. And behold, I've created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth the instrument for his work. And I've created waster, destroy it. So basically, what that's talking about is talking about a smith. We know, and a blower, that's talking about. This is talking about a great weapon that blows fire and an explosion. Or if you understand, was blessed with the sword. We know Esau and Edom. If we read Genesis, we're talking about Esau was blessed with the sword, fatness of the earth. So we understand that Esau Edom's blessing is he was going to make great weapons of war and mass destruction, which he has today with his nuclear. And that's what this verse is talking about. Those bombs, those nuclear weapons they have submarines and then the missile columns. These type of instruments will be used for the will of the Most High. So we got to understand that these things are going to happen here in America, that the other nations are going to turn on them, because everything is going to be revealed and let loose, all the wickedness that's coming forward. So just like this destruction is going to be used in the way of Yahawah. So I'm going to read Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh, I shall burn as an oven, and proud, and ye, and all do wickedly. It shall stumble. The day cometh, shall burn them up, saith Lord of hosts, and it shall leave them not neither a root or branch. So basically, right there, he's letting you know that he's going to burn. The only way to burn something like that is he's using the other nations and their nuclear missiles to wage war and to pillage against the people who have a wage war against the people of the earth and the people of the Lord. We'll get a little deeper in that, and I'll get a little deeper as well when he's going to. And I'm going to jump down to Isaiah 13, verses 19 to 20. And Babylon, further kingdom, beauty of the Chaldeans, excellency, shall be as when Yahawah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So he's letting you know, he's saying that basically Babylon, the kingdom, is going to be the same thing as when he threw over Sodom and Gomorrah. So this is talking about spiritual present day Babylon, which is present day Egypt, America. So he's talking about he's going to rain hellfire, brimstone. So we understand that stuff, brimstone, is something that's not natural to this earth. If you look that up, that's something that comes from outside of this earth. So that's something that comes from Yahawah. Brimstone is something that's very combustible. So as soon as it gets on fire and it hits the earth, it just explodes. But you gotta understand when Yahawah brings up Sodom and Gomorrah, he means destruction. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it dwell from generation to generation. Neither shall Arabin pitch the tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. So it's letting you know that this land right here that we're currently standing in, it's not going to be inhabited anymore very soon. It's going to be left to waste. It's going to be a wasteland, destroyed forever. You're not going to be able to be here. So he's giving you a warning to take heed that this is what's going to happen here in America. So a lot of our people, they come to the truth, understand that, okay, I'm here. They'll understand that, okay, I'm not supposed to eat this and I'm supposed to take the Sabbath. But then they don't have to understand it that we have to do what our answers do. We have to prepare for Exodus. Yahawah's not going to keep us out here prepare for Exodus, because this is what's about to happen. We can't be here when Yahawah's about to pledge destruction on Babylon. Why he's about to put destruction on Babylon, then he's like, you haven't been understanding, I've been reading what I've been telling you. And he's going to do to you what he's about to do to them. So I'm going to jump down to Peter, 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of Yahawah will come at the deep night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt in fervent heat, and earth also, and the works therein there shall be burned up. So it's letting you know that the day of the Lord is going to come swift. in the night. Like you're not gonna know when it's coming. It's gonna be poof. You're gonna be there. People not understanding how quickly, how sudden it's gonna come because they're gonna be living a worldly life and attaching worldly things, and they're never gonna have to understand how. So when he finally comes, they're gonna be like, "Who is this man? Who is this? This is the man that created everything that you see." And they're gonna look, and they gotta understand that there's certain things that come to pass, that certain signs and certain prophecies that come with him coming back and returning to the earth. That we're gonna see certain volcano eruptions, we're gonna see war, we're gonna see sickness, we're gonna see death and destruction. And when we see all this about, then we know it's very nigh. That's why we see all these things gearing up right now. We see World War III gearing up. We see a lot of people dying. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm saying a lot of people dying just from wickedness, just from killing. Talking about it. They're trying to put it on the hush. But I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on that people are not talking about. And I done Revelations 9-16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And this is talking about the army of the horsemen. This is talking about talking about waging the great war. It's talking about the third woe, which means the final woe, which means the great war of all nations. That when Yahawah is going to gather all nations, and I'll read that in Joel 3:1-12. It's talking about he will gather nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and we understand what the valley of Jehoshaphat is. That is the current day Middle East. And if you read further into Revelation 9-16, it will tell you that that's located near the Euphrates River, which is also located in the Middle East. So we know that this third woe is going to be located somewhere in the Middle East. So I'm gonna read a little bit from Joel 3:1-12. I'm not gonna read. I'm gonna skip around. For behold, in those days, in that time, I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So this is talking about the captivity again. Not talking about Egypt. We're talking about the captivity we're in right now, currently. So this is talking about this time. This is how we know this is again captivity again. Joel 2. I will also gather all nations. I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, who have scattered among the nations and parted my land. 3. They have casted lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, and they might drink. So he's basically saying they have sold my people and put them into slavery, and cast them on lots and said that nothing. So he's basically saying that I'm gonna plead with my people, and I'm gonna basically have recompense on their heads for what they have done to the holy people of Yahawah. So everything they have done over the course of history, Yahawah is gonna have that recompense on them. The people gotta understand that this day is coming, and that we gotta prepare for this day, and there's certain places that we gotta be at, certain things we have to do before that time comes. To read this book and get this understanding. In verse 4. Yeah, and what have you not do with them? In Tyre and Zidon, and cast lots of Palestine, will you render me a recompense? If you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? So basically saying if you return recompense to him speedily, will you return recompense to your own head? So it's basically a rhetorical question, because nobody can give recompense. Only Yahawah can. That's what people gotta understand. As Yahawah will pose a rhetorical question, he already know, you should know the answer. Nobody can give judgment or recompense but Yahawah, because he's the one who guides the spirit to give judgment. And basically, I just want to, roughly, you can read into more Joel 3:1-12, and I just basically want to paraphrase, just letting know this is talking about where he's going to gather all the nations, including the Gentiles, and that's when the final war will start, which is so-called World War III, which is the final war. And people have to understand that this is the time that Yahawah will reveal himself to the nations. And this is the final bloodshed where a lot of things will happen, man. And it's not going to be pretty. But I'll let Brother Jamal take over.
Shalom to everybody joining the live. All right. We're going to jump to Amos chapter 9 and verse 8. All right. It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahawah are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saying that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. All right. So What is the sinful kingdom? Who is the sinful kingdom? We're talking about the destruction of Babylon the Great. Right? The Lord, the Most High, is going to lay this place desolate due to nuclear fire, radiation, and missiles. Right? But reading on, Salakia, we're going to come back to that later. I'm going to jump to Joel, all right, chapter 3, verse 19. And it says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right, that scripture is speaking for itself. And for those that don't know, Egypt is uh is correlated to current day Babylon. Why? Because the Israelites were sent into bondage over here. Right, that's pursuing the Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68. He's saying he shall send you to Egypt again through ships. Right, and as we also said in the beginning of the law, that this is the land of Edom. This is his kingdom, quote unquote. All right. He's saying against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right. I mean, that's speaking for itself, man. Right. You got slavery when we're not even talking about once we got here. On the way over here, it was a lot of bloodshed, throwing, our forefathers and foremothers in the waters, right? Feeding them to the sharks, right? And even now, present day, you got the so-called police force that's supposed to protect us, right? They the main ones killing us. If you do your research, right? We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 49. I'm going to start at verse 17. It says, also Edom shall be desolation. Right. The Lord, he keeps repeating himself because his word is stern. His word is concrete. So it's going to come to pass. Right. It says, and also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone ye goeth by, it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. Right. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahawah, no man shall abide there, neither shall the Son of Man dwell in it. Right, because, I mean, the nuclear missiles and desolation is coming to America. Right, because you got the nations that are really fed up with Babylon the Great and her wicked actions and her, her bullyish type of tendencies, right? But pursuing to that, we're going to go to Isaiah, right, chapter 14 again. And I'm going to go to verse 10. It says, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Right, so what's talking about right here is that with the nation, right? Because once Edom, or the kingdom of Edom, Babylon the Great, comes down, they're going to be able to, I guess, correlate with the other nations that they have done, so bad, quote unquote, like as the nation of Ham, or what people call Africa. Right, they have only used that land just for their own purposes and their own benefit. Right, and you go over there, you got a lot of folks in poverty. Right, you got the animals, the aquatic animals is all, messed up with the oil. Right, but I'm gonna jump to Wisdom of Solomon. So, Lockie, you give me a second. Chapter 2 and verse 11. Right, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 9. Right, and what's going to in this chapter of Wisdom of Solomon, Solomon, he's explaining the traits and the mindset of the wicked. All right, we're gonna read from verse 9. It says, let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this our portion and our lot is this. All right, and it says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Right, and let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Right, he's explaining the mindset of the so-called wicked man, which is the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Right, and he looks on the fellow people of this world as feeble, right, meaning nothing to them, right, which is why they treat us the way they did. But little did they know they was doing their lot. They were doing what the Most High set them up to do, right? But After that, we're gonna jump to Revelations 13:10. Basically, you reap what you sow, man, and that's what Esau Edom fails to realize throughout all this wickedness that he displayed upon this earth, man. But Revelation 13:10, it says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And if you understand spiritual meaning, the saints are the Israelites. All right. But basically, they reaping what they sow. They led us into captivity, and they shall go into captivity. Right? They've been killing us with the sword, not just a physical sword, but their sword is also the gun. Right? And they've been using that to their advantage against us, the oppressed people. Right? The children of Israel. All right. We're gonna go to Ezekiel. All right, chapter 4. I'm gonna go to verse 13. And Yahawah said, "Even thus shall the children of Yahawah, or Israel, eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." Right? He's talking about when he scattered us among the nations, right? And we're blended in with the Gentiles, the wicked Gentiles, which are, you know, on the spiritual meaning, it could also be the scattered Israelites. But on another side, the Gentiles are more so wicked, right? But we're eating their defiled bread. And then the bread is more so like the philosophies and the doctrines, right? And the different beliefs of so-called Babylon the Great. For one, throwing out homosexuality, marriage and homosexuality, right? You're talking about transgenderism, right? The wicked ways of, so-called Babylon the Great. All right. From that, we'll jump to 2 Peter chapter 2. All right. So I'll give you a second. Chapter 2 and verse 6. All right. And it says, "And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with the overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly." Right. The Most High, he used Sodom and Gomorrah as an example, and he knew that it would be an example pursuing on down to the timeline, which is life, right? But you see that through Esau and his rulership, he obviously couldn't take heed of that, which is why you see this land in derision, right? You see this so much confusion. Babylon, also the etymology of the word Babylon alludes to Babel, which is mean confusion, right? And then before I give it back to Brother Paris, I'm gonna jump to Jeremiah chapter 51. All right, I gotta come up out of this world, man. Gotta come up out of the doctrines that Esau has taught you and he's taught you to accept those things, man. But little do you know that'll get you destroyed. All right. All right, so we got Jeremiah chapter 51, and I'm just do verse 6. And it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity." Right? Iniquity is just an abundance of sins that, we're gonna relate to later. It's talking about the cup, the golden cup being filled up, right? But it's saying, "And deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yahawah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." Right. He's giving Babylon the Great a reward of vengeance, man. A reward of desolation. Right. And he's gonna do away with this place by using the other nations. Right. But with that, I'm gonna pass it back to Brother Paris.
And
Gone.
mhm. There's another thing I'll touch on. Is just like we were talking about earlier, is talking about that. When we're reading these verses, we're talking about what's to come to Babylon the Great, and what's the fall of Babylon and destruction is we got to understand that we got to prepare ourselves for Exodus. Like I said at the beginning, we got just like our ancestors before us, we have to prepare ourselves for Exodus again and prepare to leave. There is no rapture doctrine. That's a false doctrine. The whole doctrine of the rapture doctrine, so-called white man in the 1800s. If you go look this up, and if you look and find out where, I'll DM you the information. But that's what doctrine created. There's no way in the world he's coming to beam you up like that. You have to prepare by reading and understand these precepts. I'm gonna jump into Babylon will not be healed, which their land be healed. That's not talking about this land. Babylon is going to be doctrines. They pertain to certain things, like you, and they pertain to certain things, and they're just false doctrines. But I'm gonna jump down to Mark 13 verses 8 through 10. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famine and troubles, and there are the beginning of sorrows. And take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to the councils and the synagogues, and you shall be beaten, and you shall be brought by rulers and for kings, for my sake, and for my testimony against them. And the gospel must first be published among all nations. So basically, what that's talking about is how the people of the Lord, once they come into the power, different people that have authority, they will start to persecute the people of the
Wish.
Lord. They will start to yeah, they will start to attack, and they will start to hold on. Breaking up like is it breaking up on y'all end? You good? I was still on here. I'm still on here. Like, it was still going live. It's good on my side.
Yeah, it was saying the connection was poor, so I just like went ahead. I started going on into Mark 13th chapter, but you can reiterate it.
All right. Sorry. Just like you read 8 through 10.
Yeah, yeah. I just read verse 8 though.
Okay. So just like Brother Jamal was saying, I read 9 and 10. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to the councils and synagogues, and they shall be beaten. You shall be beaten, and you shall be brought before the rulers and the king for my sake, for testimony against them. And the gospel must be first published among all nations. So again, that's what that's talking about, is that's pertaining to the people of the Lord coming to the knowledge of who they are, and they start practicing their old ways and going to heritage, that they can be brought before different rulers and different governments and officials, and they will be tried and tested, because certain things will not, they'll be going against the law of the land, because what's happening, everything in the Bible, they're trying to against it. So they'll start to judge you, be like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And the people of the Lord, some people will have to come up in these courtrooms and in front of these kings, judges, presidents, and just basically they have to explain. Just like Moses back in the day, he had to go to Pharaoh, basically politic with him on his level, and break it down to how he was wrong, and explain to him on that level, and explain it to him. That's what's going to happen to us as individuals, because everybody has their lot to play. Everybody has their certain role they have to play in this. Some people are meant to be seen and to put an image out there, so that it's more powerful amongst our people to permeate a certain spirit and energy. Just like he'll use a certain celebrities to put a truth out there so that you hear. He might not be using that particular celebrity, to change his heart, but he's using him to use him. Okay, but he's using him to basically permeate the truth and put it out there. He does that with so-called Edomites too. They'll slip up and they'll say the wrong thing and they'll put the truth out there. But I'm gonna jump
Um,
down. Matthew 24:6. Ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and that ye shall not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So basically, it's talking about just like how now we're talking about wars and rumors of war. We're talking about World War III and how they're gearing up for it. Where you see certain naval forces gearing up for battle, or that they'll show their muscle or their force by having a fleet enter a zone that they're not supposed to enter. Just different things like that. That's when you know that they're gearing up for battle. They're flexing their guns and their weapons and their swords, letting them know that they're ready to go down. In Jeremiah 51:7-9, 7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's eye, in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Basically saying that all the nations have drunken of Babylon's wickedness, which is their ways and their customs of life, how they basically how they pillage every land and they take their money and they put them in debt, and how they basically put the fake image of the false god, which says Great Borjega, or so-called Jesus, which is the false image, and how they basically make it a dictatorship. They come as peace and they come as socialism, but it's basically they convert it into a dictatorship so they can take all your money from you. And what that's basically saying is all of the nations have been through this same situation, so they understand the wicked ways, so they're mad, they're angry at Babylon, they want to turn. Verse 8: Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, and howl for her, take ball of her pain. If so, she may be healed. So basically saying she suddenly was destroyed. It's like I was telling you, turn on her because they realized how wicked she is. And nobody will come for her help. Nobody will heal her. Verse 9, who will have healed, but she is not healed. Forsake her. Let us go, everyone that is into his own country. For her judgment is reaches into the heaven and is lifted even to the skies. So basically, her judgment has passed the earth and is reached into Yahawah. Yahawah sees all the wickedness that Babylon has done over the years, and he's tired of it. There's no way he's turning away from destruction of Babylon. Just like Brother Jamal said earlier, we got Sodom and Gomorrah, destruction of Babylon. And I'm going to jump down to Revelations 18, verse 4-6. I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that you not receive of her plagues. So basically saying that our people need to come out of her wicked ways, come out of these pagan holidays, come out of these eating pork, shellfish, all these wicked things that Babylon basically puts in your, all these they put all this in your face and basically use this propaganda because they want you to be wicked with them, because they already know that their soul is not saved. So what they want to do is they want to put you in that same wickedness with them, in that utter destruction with them. They're trying to take that light from you. That's the whole point of them putting this wickedness. For her sins has reached unto heaven, and Yahawah has remembered her iniquities. So just like I said earlier, her iniquities have been remembered, and not just talking about America Babylon. We're talking about Babylon in the mission school system. So we're talking about European, NATO, all these European countries since Greece, Rome, all the way since Babylon's beginning. He has been watching that spirit permeate through the earth and cause destruction and wickedness. In verse 6, and reward her even as she rewarded you, double unto her according to her works, and the cup which she has filled to her double. So basically saying what she has done unto the earth, all the wickedness with the slavery, killing, polluting the ocean, the air, destruction of the trees, animals, all this has to be rewarded unto her double. So who is the people of Babylon? Who is the ruler? That is so-called Esau Edom. So under Esau Edom watch, all this wickedness has been permanent up under the earth. So we have to do unto them double. So that's basically what that's talking about. Like their reward is far greater. And I'll let Brother Jamal with Obadiah.
All right, but before we jump to that, this is to cut that false Christianity doctrine about the rapture. I did Jeremiah 33. I'm gonna start at verse 3. This is the words of the Lord. It says, "And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, It will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase, and set up, and I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahawah. Right? And going on, it says, Behold, the days come, saith Yahawah, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name, whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, The Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country. What is the north country, man? Now, I'm going to let you figure that out. Right? And from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Right. So that's putting away that false Christianity doctrine about the rapture. The Lord says specifically he don't come back for his remnant. The remnant is the 1/3 in which that adheres to this truth and tries to abide to all of his law to the best of their ability. Right. And he said, I will raise unto them a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. Who is he alluding to? He's alluding, to Yahawah, right? Because Yahawah is going to come back, and he's going to execute justice and judgment upon the earth, right? All right, and before I jump to Obadiah, I'm going to hit this one verse real quick. This same chapter, Jeremiah 23, so I can. And it says, in verse 24, I'm going to start at verse 23, Salaki. Am I a God at hand, saith Yahawah, and not a God far off? All right. Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, saith Yahawah? Do I not fill heaven and earth, saith Yahawah? Right. Because Esau think he's going to be able to escape from his judgment that the Lord has already set up for him. Right. But the Lord, he created everything, the one true and only living God. Right. He has to answer to his deeds. He has to reap what he sowed. All right. We're going to jump to, and come on, Brother Darren, talking about jump to Isaiah 14. We're going to get back to it. Jump to Obadiah. Start at verse 12. All right. And this is alluded to the destruction of Edom. All right. Verse 12 says, But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Right. He's talking about you should have looked at thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. The brother of Esau is who? Jacob, who was later on surnamed Israel. Right. So he's talking about the Edomites looking on the Israelites on the day, the day that they became a stranger, basically when they were sent into captivity through those ships, right, to the land of Egypt. The reading on it says, Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. All right. The Most High is cunning, because the Most High, he set them up to be as wicked as they were once we were put into captivity and once we were sent off into other nations. All right. They put that evil out toward us, and you see they took the hell off with that. All right. But jumping to verse 15, it says, For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Con, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Right, that's going back to Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Come on. All right. We're going to go to Isaiah 14 again, just to add on. All right. Isaiah 14 and verse 21. It says, Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Right, the Lord, he's talking about Esau, Edom, man. they gotta pay. And you got a lot of Esau Edom out here. They always like to be like, "Oh, that wasn't me. I didn't put you all in slavery. I didn't hang you all." But no, you have to. The Lord specifically said, "Prepare slaughter for His children." Right? You have to bear the iniquity of your fathers. Right? Thus saith the Lord. Right. All
And
right.
also let you know that Yahawah looks at nations, not just individual
Come on.
people. They get that misconstrued or confused. Is that Yahawah looked at Jacob as a nation. That's how he. That's how we looked at their sins and looked at their downfalls. That's how every nation. So it's not just the individual person. Just like I tell everybody, all of Israel wasn't sinning. There was a lot of Israel that was doing what they're supposed to be doing. But when we fell off, everybody had to fall off. And that's just how it is. The whole nation has to suffer for the iniquities of the nation.
Right. And to finish off with that, this is more prophecy. It's saying, in Isaiah 14, verse 3, it said, "And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased." Right. And then goes on to saying, the most High hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Right. That's just deemed destruction, man, to Babylon the Great. We're going to go to 2 Peter chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 10 again, just to reiterate that. Right, and it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night." Right, that's also alluding to 2 Thessalonians chapter 5. Right, the second verse. Right, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye be in all holy conversation and godliness?" Right? In verse 12 it says, "Looking for and hasting unto the coming day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat." All right, he continued to reiterate that simply because it's going to come to pass, man. It's the word of the Most High. It's concrete, or you can't escape it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna pass it to Brother Paris.
And just like Brother Jamal was speaking on Isaiah 14, that is letting us know that also I'm going to touch on is that we have to free ourselves, that we have to get prepared, we have to prepare ourselves for to be as pilgrims for passage. So we understand that all these prophecies and all these curses are going to come, and plagues are going to come into Babylon. That we can't be here while this is happening. We have to prepare to leave. And also, another thing I want to touch on is how Jake and Israel as a nation, they have to adhere to the words of the prophets and prophecy which we speaking of, and which the other elders and the people before have spoke of. Yeah, everybody has to adhere to this fully and not just partial, because that's where you get confusion and that's where you get lost in the sauce. So I'm gonna jump to 2 Peter 1:19. "We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place until the dawn, that the day of the star rises in the heart." So basically, that's saying that you need to take heed to this word, because this will be that light in the dark. It's talking about when you're lost and you need to find out what's my, or just discernment by the, or just that ruach, understanding. That's saying this will be just like he talked about wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of our times. This is what it's talking about. Ruach, this word will be stability. This will give you understanding in those troubling times, and it will until the meaning to Yahawah, our Savior. God, he comes back and he has recompense. He puts it back in the land. So I'm down to verse 20. "Knowing this first, that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation." So basically, he's talking about none of these prophecy scriptures private. I'm talking private interpretation. Talking that if we have understanding, scripture, we need to be preaching this to our brethren, that was on, and when we not try to hoard it to ourselves. If we get some new understanding or something that we come into, we should share it to many people as possible, because this word is not on. We don't have ownership over it. And verse 21, prophecy came out not of the old time, but by the will of man, by the holy men of Yahawah, spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost, which is the Ruach, which is I told you understanding, which I told you earlier, which is the understanding, discernment, Ruach HaKodesh. And if you get into deeper, and that this is basically the basically absorption of radiation, which is basically radiation comes from the angels, which comes from the Most High. This is basically to understand you could absorb radiation, understand you could be in the presence of the Most High, which we'll get into a lesson in that deeper later on. Let's just give you a base understanding. And I'm gonna jump to Amos 9 and 10. And all the sinners of my people shall say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. So when he's saying my people, this is talking about specifically, this is talking about Israel. So all the sinners and the wicked doer and the 2/3 Jakes, they're not hearing us, they're still out here, living their life, do what they want to do, drink, partying, getting fucked up, all this dumb stuff. That they gonna have recompense for this. They're gonna die by the sword. And
All right, the
that
Lord gonna destroy you.
because he's not gonna let that wicked or that evil overtake us when we jump into the just like it says in Ezra 6:9, Esau is in the world, Jacob is the new that follows. So we're not going to be bringing this wickedness into the new world. Understand is that all that's going to be shed off is going to be made clean. He's cleaning his bride up. Understand? Israel's the bride, so he's going to clean us up. So Zechariah 13:18. It shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Lord, 2 parts be cut off and die, but the third part should be left there. Again, that's letting you know that 2/3 of our people shall die. They will die by the sword, which means judgment in different myriad of ways, which could be heart attack. Random stuff happened to our people because they have not hearkened to his word, hearkened to people just like me, Jamai, and people all around the world that's trying to tell our brothers the truth. That there's judgment for this, there's a recompense for all this, just by not listening. And I'm gonna let Brother Jamai close this out.
Con. And this is going back to cutting that Christianity doctrine about the rapture, but in fact that will save ourselves. All right, this is Isaiah 14, and I'm just go to verse 20. It says, "Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, all right, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned." All right, he's talking about our people overtaking Esau. All right, Esau, Edom, when Judah and Israel cleave unto each other, right, understanding who they truly are, right, understanding that the so-called white man is their enemy, man. You got a lot of Jake out here that's real friendly with Esau, man. Not understanding that push come to shove, he'll cut you off, man. All right, take your life with it. But I'm gonna jump to close this out. A few more scriptures. I'm gonna jump to Jeremiah chapter 51 again. I'm gonna go to verse 45. Right. And it says, "My people, go ye out of the midst of her." Who is her? Babylon the Great. "And deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahawah. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land." What rumor? The rumor of wars. Right. You even got other rumors about China, but possibly hitting us with an EMP. And all the lights go out. And you're gonna be shook. Right, because you're stuck in confusion. You ain't know. All right. "A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon," which is that false idol. You call them JC, right? "And her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her." All right, I'm gonna jump to verse 64. It says, "And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and thou shalt not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary." Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Who is Jeremiah? The prophet. All right, we just alluded to in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 19 through 21, on how the words of prophecy they were not their own personal interpretation and how they came from the Most High, right? Through the Holy Spirit. Come on. I'm gonna jump to back to 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 9, right? And it says, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, and some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Right? The Lord, he's not playing, man. People they think we're putting out this video and we're putting out this prophecy for the fun of it. No, it's to warn our people, right? And it's to help you take heed to the times that's going to come to fruition, right? And it says all that should come to repentance, right, man? You got to repent, turn back to the Most High, right? Or you're just going to be utterly destroyed. You're going to be left in confusion in the land of confusion, all right? Let me jump a couple more scriptures, then I'm going to close it out. Right, and this for the Jake that's real rebellious, right? And just, as for one, not going to watch this live, right? And not going to adhere to the warnings that we're giving you. Thus said the Lord, right? This is Isaiah 30, chapter 1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, said Yahawah, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Right. He talking about all these Jake out here, the 2/3 Jake, right? That's lost and that's just driven to just live their life out, man. Thinking that they got enough time to be just drowned in iniquity and not repent. Thinking that, excuse my language, shit gonna be sweet. But it ain't, bro. It's not, bro. You keep it going. Verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Right. Who did we say earlier is Egypt alluded to? Egypt is present day Babylon, man. And Pharaoh could be, any person that's in power that you love, that you admire, that you follow their philosophies and doctrines that they display upon you. Right. And it says, verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Right? Because you ain't hearkening to the Lord of the word of the Salaki. You ain't hearkening to the words of the Lord thy God, Yahawah thy power. Right? And to finish it off.
Yeah, I don't want to touch on that before you finish it off. That's for these Jakes that's over here talking about, yeah, Trump, he's trying to stop the pedophiles. Nah, bro, you're falling to the shame of Pharaoh, because you gotta understand Pharaoh is Trump is with Egypt. So all these people talking about these people officers are trying to do this and that, or Kanye doing this and that. That's prophecy right there telling you that if you follow behind them, then hey, you're gonna be confused, you're gonna be utterly destroyed. I just want to add that.
Come on. And this in Jeremiah 51 and 52 says, wherefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahawah, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Right? You hearken on to all these other celebrities out here that's throwing you out. That's a part of the act of confusion that the so-called white man is putting upon you. Right? You're gonna be just caught off guard, man. And you're gonna see and feel the rejection of the Most High God, man. He's gonna get y'all right, bro. But to finish it out, this is Isaiah 30, and I'm gonna start at verse 9. It says that this is a rebellious people, lying children, and children that will not hear the law of the Lord. All right, it says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but speak unto us smooth things, prophecy deceits. All right, you talking about a lot of Jake that's stuck in that Christianity doctrine that don't want to adhere to the complete Bible, just want to take them different mortal messages that Pastor Bucktooth give them, right? Pastor Alligator Shoe give them, right? And they're not even realizing, man. Them pastors throwing you out too. Because when the Lord comes, your pastor going to be looking at you. Like what's going on? The next thing you know, y'all both being destroyed.
Because none of these past prophecy at all. All these verses we talked about Babylon being destroyed, I have yet to see a pastor have a sermon in a church like that, because they won't do it.
Now I'm going to finish up with these last two verses. Starting at verse 11. It says, get ye out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel, or Yahawah to cease from before us. Right? They talking about the Most High God, man. He uses prophets to warn them. Right? Even back then, when it's alluding to Ecclesiastes, I'm paraphrasing, can't remember, but it says nothing is new under the sun. Right? He had in this time Isaiah, he was warning the people, but those people they were so drowned in their own wickedness, right? Not hearkening to the Lord, not fearing the Lord, not even understanding that the fear of the Lord is treasure, man. Right? In verse 12 it says, "Wherefore thus said the Holy One of Israel, Yahawah, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon." Right, the Most I just he just showed you off, man. Simply because you ain't wanna hearken, bro. You this for the junk that love America, man. That love just being a part of the folly, man. That love the homosexuality and staying on the gag, quote unquote, and all the folly, bro. You gonna be rejected. That said the Lord, bro. But with that, we're gonna close out. Of course, we want to give our honor and glory to Yahawah by Hashem. Amashiach woman like Yahawashi. Double honor to the apostles and the elect elders of the house of David, pushing the truth for decades and decades. Right? Shalom to the hardy brothers and sisters in this truth. Y'all stay strong out there, Israel. All right, and shalom.
Allah.
Stood with our backs to the sun. I can't remember nothing but fearless and young. We've become echoes, but echoes to fade away. We interrupt our programming. This is a national emergency. Important details will follow. As we die on the way. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. The North American Aerospace Defense Command has detected the launch of 10 Russian missiles, which are headed for the United States. These missiles are presumed